George Washington Wagner Jr., Sergeant Major, United States Army. I entered the service 28 June 1963. Was separated from the United States Army 31 May 1996. I should have been medical discharged. I was not. I went on active duty, headquarters company, Fort Myers, Virginia, and was on orders Title 32, which should have been Title 10. I started suffering from post-traumatic stress. I was not able to separate from the United States Army. I did not get clearance papers. I was homeless on the street, suffering post-traumatic stress. Went to Walter Reed Army Hospital, tried to get them to do a formal line of duty. The doctor there said I was suffering from mental anguish or something. I don't know, but it's in my records. And after the IG of Walter Reed Army Hospital put in writing that he did not have to do a formal line of duty on me. I was homeless on the street, eating out of trash cans, did not have any funds. My parents was in Oklahoma, and I was in where my home was. Walter Reed gave me paperwork to go to the VA hospital. They called a phase of life. I went to the VA hospital. Again, they diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress. I carried it back to the VA to the DC Army National Guard. Everybody refused for me to do a formal line of duty. I went in the hospital, the VA hospital. I stayed in there for about 6 months. Again, they say I was 100% for post-traumatic stress. The United States Army refused to give me a medical discharge, which I had applied for. I did not apply for. The first time I put a 149 in was 2020. When I put the first one in 2000, year 2000. The 149 I got submitted. The Army Board received a 149 and refused to do anything with it. Sent me things telling me that I was out of the service, and when post-traumatic stress happened, and to be honest, since I never signed out of headquarters company, I was still on the morning report. So January 16th, 1996, Army personnel retired me, sent a letter to the United States Army and told them that I was retired from regular Army. They put that in mothballs and didn't tell me anything about it. when I turned 60, I went back to the D.C. Army National Guard to put my retirement papers in. And the clerk asked me where was my paperwork they sent me. I told them I didn't get it. At the time, they had sent in 1996, the National Guard cut my DD 214 or whatever form that is and sent it to 635 High Street. That was the shelter that I was in. But on my discharge form, they had on there, they didn't know where I was. I was, the last address the D.C. Army National Guard had for me was in Silver Spring. They processed my paperwork and went on and paid me. And 2005, the IG called the D.C. Army National Guard and told them I need to go back to the Guard and have a formal line of duty done, which I have a letter where the IG stated in 1994 that it was necessary, that I didn't require a formal line of duty. The formal line of duty was done by active duty Major Pendale, which is also in my records. He said he found me in the line of duty. The D.C. Army National Guard took the form, and the IG of the Army Board had them to change it. They got to the IG or the doctor, someone, they changed it. Once they changed it, they sent me a letter saying that it wouldn't do me no good to send it to the disability agency. I filled the form out and wrote them a letter, and the Army Disability Agency asked me to send them a copy of my medical records. Sent them a copy of my medical records. They said, we find you 100% armed combat related. I had spent 2 tours in Vietnam, Tether 68, 2000, and Tether 68, I was over there 28 February 1968. I went to Vietnam, came back in March of 69. I volunteered again 1971. I volunteered to go back to Vietnam. I spent 10 months. They gave me credit for a full tour. They shortened my tour and gave me credit for the full tour. The National Guard Bureau wrote the first letter for me and asked the Army Board that they should retire me. The Army Board turned around and denied that. Sergeant Major McNamara and people at the United States Army National Guard headquarters there come up with that I had over 18 years the day I entered the tour, and that I should not have been separated without being allowed to retire. The Army Board come up and said I signed a 1058R waiving sanctuary. I had asked them to go before the board, and they denied me that right. They had the board without me. At this time, they had informed me that I need to get a lawyer. I had on several occasions went to Senator Barbara McCluskey in Annapolis. I had went to Stany Hoyer, a representative, and none of them was able to do anything. They understood. Everybody was wondering why they did not retire me, or why they did not pay me. So at this time, I went back to the Army Board. The Army Board told me that you need to get a lawyer. They put it in writing. I go get a lawyer. The lawyer go, and I had a 61 count indictment against the Secretary of the Army. The Judge Ubina ruled that what the Army Board did to me was arbitrary and capricious. For them to retire me and pay me, they turned around and sent me a letter, and that was a judge's order saying that he sent me the letter telling me that my application was denied, which was a federal judge's order. At this time, we had to reopen the case, which shouldn't have been done, but my lawyer reopened the case. It was another $8,000 that I was charged. The total bill for the lawyer was $92,000. They turned around and sent me a letter telling me my application been denied, and they never disputed that I had on that I had 16 years of active duty service on this letter that was dated, which I have a copy, will be accompanying this documentation. This time, they turn around and we reopen the case, and Judge Ubina sent an order down to Secretary of the Army Peter Goering, informing him that his input in this matter have been denied. The 1058R that the Army Board was looking for, they told the judge that they only had to keep it 2 years, and they didn't have a copy, that I should have a copy. And again, and for me to pay the attorney, I had to go and bag groceries at Fort Myers Commissary. Here I am, a sergeant major, bagging groceries at the United States Army Commissary with all the E4s, taking E4s, groceries out, E3, and I know people laughed at me. I had to get 2 E4s to pick my pick up my furniture and put it in storage from the DC Guard. And I know everybody in the DC Guard knew that I was homeless and on the streets. Again, oh, you don't put, I think you got it.